ever since my friend Lane Thrift became the gallery director and coordinator for the USAO Art Gallery, we've been very excited about having evenings that combine art and theater and music together. We were very successful in the spring in our opening of HMS Pinafore, coordinating that with an opening that was in the gallery and having that as a nice evening event where audiences could come to campus for two reasons and get a real interdisciplinary fine arts and performing arts experience. What we thought about this summer was trying to specifically schedule the opening night for Angels in America with the opening in the gallery. And as it turns out, the artist who was doing the gallery show in the fall is an artist from Ardmore named Jan Tindale. And Jan's show is entitled Angels and Altars. And when I went to look at her work, I was captivated. Her pieces are about life and loss. They have a sense of femininity. There are lines that suggest religious archetypes and forms that suggest the mundane and the sacred side by side. Her imagery is body imagery, disease imagery, life imagery. So we are delighted that Jan has not only agreed to have her opening coincide with our opening, but beginning in the summer, we started conversations about having her collaborate on the design for the show, with our first concept being maybe a lobby design that brought her work out of the gallery and into the theater lobby. And then the more I looked at her work, the more I decided that this really needed to become part of the overall production design.
Through some important times in my life, angels have, I think, appeared for me or spoken to me. And I know that sounds a little bit crazy, but it's true. I've felt the energy of other beings, and that got me started on my Angel series. A lot of the work that's in the show here is from the Angel series, and then I've moved on from there to the altars. The later work now is primarily bones and stones and more things from nature, but still tied to the angels.
There's really nothing to worry about. I think that Shokin Brahmo mi Mohammed Samanucho Nakono Alkan Fehashino.
What?
Everything's fine. Bimalos Kodoshim Utorim Kezohar Horokia.
I don't understand what you're...
Es Nishmas prior, Sheno Holok, Leomolo Bambur.
Why are you doing that? Stop it! Stop it!
Stop what?
You were just... Weren't you just speaking in Hebrew or something?
Hebrew? I'm basically Irish American. No, I wasn't speaking Hebrew. I play Emily. She is a nurse at the hospital where Pryor is being worked on for his disease. Back during the setting of the play, nurses and doctors didn't know much about AIDS or the treatment or how to care for someone who was dealing with such a big deal. So Emily is kind of removed from or she is supposed to be removed from the emotional aspects of her job on this case. But I feel like Emily really connects to Pryor on a certain level as far as empathizing with his incredible ability to face this, with such bravery. But also, I think she really connects to Lewis on, which is not at all like an emotional level that is. It's remarkable for what she should have done. She embraces him, and while she's clinical and professional, she looks into him, and I think she sees that, a relationship is a relationship, be it between a man and a woman or otherwise.
Roy is not a nice man. Roy is a very selfish man. He has developed a lot of power that could do a lot of good for a lot of people, but he does a lot of good for himself. What Roy wants out of life is what's best for Roy. What will get Roy to the next step, what will get Roy what he wants. He doesn't care who he gets it from, how he gets it, what he has to do. He likes people to owe him favors. He likes to be able to pick up the phone and have things happen like that. That is his way of that makes him feel good when people bow and scrape to him. And I mean, at one point I'm in a restaurant and one of the, he works in the Justice Department, he's very high up there. I was like give me a back rub. You know, my back's sore. I just tell them, rub my back. You know, I expect people to jump when I say.
Julius and Ethel Rosenberg will die in the electric chair at Sing Sing Prison tonight. Warden Deno said earlier that the execution...
There's this fabulous kind of lace piece that we may be able to use for Ethel's hat, so let's hold on to that too.
Uh-oh. It's coming off its hanger. It's very...
Sweet grandmama. Oh, look how gorgeous that is. Look at yourself.
Can I just have this?
That is gorgeous.
If it goes missing, like...
Just as pretty as that could be. So here we're going to look at the back, Roberta. What we're going to do, we're going to take this dress in on both sides so that we don't ruin the dress and we can reuse it. Now let's see if that much brings it up. We're not even at her shoulder. That's not too bad. Now let's see carefully. If we set the coat over it, why don't you take your hair down for me?
All right. There
what
it
I'm
goes.
going to actually do is I'm going to put it up under the hat.
Okay.
Watch out, because here comes Ethel.
Millennium Approaches.
Millennium Approaches. There she is. Actually, there's something really nice about that. Walk back for me. And I know you told me you were a 6.
Yeah.
And this says it's a lady's 8.5 with an insole in it, but I'm feeling magical today.
All right.
Try them.
By the way, I do have character shoes and things.
Mm-hmm. But those are just so, like...
I know. Those fit.
Sometimes you're just lucky. I'd rather be lucky.
I do love the socks with these. Those are real special.
Back up for me and let me kind of take a look at the whole piece. I think that's... If you thought about it, you wouldn't ask him what had happened. It's just that thing that comes out of your mouth, and then he has to apologize for it. And I think that's one of the most compassionate parts of this scene.
My character is Prior Walter. He is one of the people in the gay couple. He's the one actually that has AIDS, and he's very dramatic from reading it. He's really into the theater, into the shows, and makes a lot of references to different shows and different characters throughout.
It's going to have a scrim set in it so that you can appear from behind it and disappear behind it.
Working with Katie is like being chained to this chair, and all of this intelligent stuff is going on around you, and you just got to try to soak it all up as fast as you can. She is 10 steps ahead of us all the time, but at the same time, just being in the room with her makes you a smarter person about theater and about the life that's being portrayed in these shows, and about character and about why we're doing this.
It's refreshing to me. I've done a lot of directing myself, worked with a lot of different directors, and Katie's style and Katie's approach to things is very fresh and new to me. The way she sees things, even when I'm not on stage, I'll sit there in the auditorium and just watch her pull things out of other people.
The cast is also surprising. There are 2 alumni members, USAO staff member Steve Breerwood, who is an MFA in art and has been teaching with us for 4 years, and he has never been on stage before, but just felt compelled to get involved. Certainly having young students involved, only a few of the cast members are my upperclassmen. There are a handful of freshmen, including Dwayne Delaney, who is a brand new drama major and is carrying Prior, which might be the most recognizable role in the show. He plays the character who discovers that he has AIDS and deals with the implications on his relationships and his life. He is the prophet of the play, being visited by angel voices, and who carries us through this theme of angels in the play. There are 3 stories happening simultaneously in Angels in America, and they're told in short episodes. The first story is the story of Lewis and Prior, and Lewis and Prior are a gay couple living in New York in the 80s. They have been together for several years in a monogamous relationship, and they discover that Prior has AIDS, and their story explores what the impact of a terminal diagnosis is on not only the individual who then is facing an early death, but also the implications on a relationship, and how Pryor's partner struggles with not being able to be there with him, and the separation and the loss and those issues there. The second storyline explores another couple, Harper and her husband, Joe. Joe is a clerk in the New York Circuit Court, and he is unhappily working to keep a marriage together with Harper. Harper is struggling with prescription pill addiction. She has recently had a miscarriage. They have moved from Utah, which was their home, to New York and are struggling with being in a new place. Most significantly, they're wrestling with why their marriage isn't working, and Joe is struggling with questions of sexuality and what his morality is and what his religious upbringing has asked him to believe about homosexuality. And at the same time, he is put under the pressure to make a decision about making a major career move, which also carries some unethical and some immoral consequences if he decides to make some choices that he's being asked to make politically and in his job. So he's really a character in struggle. I think that the story is probably more Joe's story than anyone, because he begins at a place of enormous upheaval and uncertainty and really takes a journey throughout the script to make change and to look for a new life and to question the way he has thought about his life before. And that's an uncomfortable struggle to watch as an audience member, because it asks everyone in the audience not only to empathize with his experience, but to identify with moments where you may have a crisis of faith, or you may have questions that come up that you've had comfortable answers to before, that the answers aren't working anymore. And I think that some of that content is as uncomfortable as some of the discussion about sexuality. The third story follows a historical figure, Roy Cohn, who was a famous lawyer. He was a friend and helper to Joe McCarthy in the 50s. He had connections from J. Edgar Hoover all the way to Reagan's White House. And Roy Cohn was a closeted homosexual who was anxious to continue to be publicly known as a powerful straight man, regardless of what his sexual choices were. And he has a very powerful scene where Roy is also told that he has AIDS. And Roy's answer is, absolutely not. Gay men get AIDS. I have liver cancer. And he makes some enormously compelling political points about how labels define what people's political strengths are, where their lobby is. It's very specific to Reagan era, thankfully, that this script was from a place when conversations about sexuality were not commonplace. There were not gay characters on sitcoms. There was not a legitimate public debate about same-sex marriage. That the world of the 1980s was a very different, not only a conservative landscape, but certainly a different political landscape in many ways. And those ideas fill this script. We follow these characters' stories, but we also follow questions about what it is to be an American, and what is the political world going to be like, and what has happened to our religious and archetypal past.
You guys are very lucky this year. The USAO Drama Department is going to be performing a Pulitzer Prize-winning play, Angels in America, which is won the Pulitzer Prize, I believe, in 1994. It was written by Tony Kushner, and it's an amazing portrait of a time in American history where we were dealing with the AIDS crisis and how this affected different people's lives. It's going to be a fantastic exhibition by the drama department, and it's just a fantastic opportunity for students and even community members alike to maybe learn a little bit more about something in America's history that is often overlooked and not talked about, and to really understand the human impact of that crisis. And it's very exciting that USAO is going to be producing this play this semester.